This video is sponsored by EA. What is going on, gamers? Aevatrex here, and today we're back on SimCity BuildIt, and this time we're gonna go ahead and check out the brand new feature, Club Wars, which is really important, especially for players like myself. I like to build, I like to create things, but if there's not like a challenging aspect where I go up against other people, I might get a little bored and then drop the game. But this thing right here is something that I can really get behind, because it's similar to things like Guild Wars and Castle Clash, etc., where you go head to head against other guilds, other clubs, etc., and you need strategy. If you go in there with no strategy, 9 times out of 10 you're probably gonna lose. So let's go ahead and go over some of the few things. Now, when we were doing this out, when we went to the EA headquarters to check this out, this was more of a burst war. So instead of the longer times that would usually be in the game, it was much shorter, for obvious reasons, because I mean, this is something that's going to go on for a couple of days normally, but for us it was only a couple of minutes, so it was more of a faster pace. But regardless, the strategies, etc., would be the same. So essentially there's going to be a preparation phase that's going to be 12 hours, and that's a phase where you can get all the materials that you need, upgrade what you need to get ready for the start of the actual war. Now, the attack phase, and this is where you send all your disasters at them and plan it out, that is going to last 36 hours. Now that's pretty interesting, because 36 hours is quite a long time for you to either come up with a strategy right at the beginning and execute it, and if it's not working, it also gives you some time to tweak it a bit. If you see something that's not working, if you see that maybe something else might work, you have 36 hours on that attack phase to make sure that you either get everything that you needed to do done, or change it up to whatever is going to work. Now, once you're in this attack phase, you are going to need energy to be able to do this. Now, when you are starting this, you get 1 point of energy every 15 minutes, and that's crucial, because the more active you are, that means that's the more attacks you're going to be able to get off. But for the last 2 hours, it changes it up a little bit. The last 2 hours are going to be even more crucial, because 1 point every 5 minutes. Now, that's 3 times faster. So if you're not in there for the last 2 hours, that's literally like not being there for 6 hours before. So it's really crucial for everybody to try and at least be around for that last 2 hours, because that's when things are going to go crazy. If you're trailing by a couple thousand points and whatnot, and then your guild all of a sudden disappears for 2 hours, you're probably going to lose. So very important to plan that out. Also, the disasters, they go ahead and show you the disasters here. Once you use them, or once your teammate uses them, you can watch it happening. And some of these are actually quite interesting. Like, look at this, just a hand came out of the sky, and then it does the little spirit fingers. Now, there's a ton of disasters. There's some ideas that I have in my mind that I'm just like, I mean, there's a fish storm. There's so many different ones. I'll be showing you some, like this one, the shrink ray. By the way, a great strategy would be to have everybody focus on one person, and once you use all your energies and they run out of hit points, they go into this little bubble, and once they're in that bubble, they cannot attack until they recover fully again. So if you see that there is a specific player that's giving you a lot of problems, that's getting them a lot of points, try to focus that player specifically, because you want them to try to focus on either healing or something else, because you're just trying to throw them off pretty much. Now, a few of the things that are going to be interesting. When we were doing this, it was only 5. It was basically 5 versus 5, but when the clubs go in there, it's gonna be much more than that. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic is going to work, because there's going to be so many different options, so many players. Now you can always check the score. So if one player has like 5,000 points and then the next one is 2,000, that's an easy indication of who you should start focusing on, because that player is obviously bringing in the dough. There's also a couple things that I should bring up. There is the club's individual score, and that determines if you win or lose, which is great. But for instance, if you really balled out on one and your club still lose, there is still the individual score. So you get two different rewards. You get the club rewards, and then you get the individual score rewards. So that's an incentive to everybody to go ahead, do their best, and whatever happens happens. Now here, what we try to do after a few times, what we try to start doing is actually focus on people. Like for instance, right here, we're focusing down Hotropolis, but I believe as we were doing that, he started to heal, and we were like, wait, right, like right there, I thought that they're gonna go under a bubble, and no, look at them, they're healing back up. So you can heal as you're taking a barrage, and it's important to do that, because once you go in the bubble, you're stuck there until you're fully back up. So right now, since he's healing and he's not going in the bubble, he can still attack. But since we were specifically focusing them down, now they're in the bubble, now they're in trouble, and now they have to heal completely. Now the focus is Zion, but as we start focusing Zion, we got Llama City that came out of the bubble. So it's constant. Now of course, remember, this is more of a burst war, so everything's happening much faster here. There's less communication because there's really just not a lot of time to communicate. And plus it helped that we were next to each other, and I would just be like, hey, attack this guy. So that kind of helped. But essentially, once you get everything down, the preparation phase, I feel is going to be super important, because depending on the disasters that you have and the items that you're going to be launching, you can ask your clubmates to send you those items, etc. That way you're all set up. And if you don't do that, or if for some reason that's not done, you're going to be behind the ball and you're going to be at a disadvantage. So you have to be aware of that fact. Now, we're still trying to focus down Zion, but he's healing. And then I also noticed that No Place Like Gnome, Powerbank, and Hotropolis, they're all healing up. So we're just like, okay, this is bad. But keep this in mind, even though what we were trying to do is get everybody under a bubble, and obviously we're pretty much not gonna get that done, because as you can tell, No Place Like Gnome is pretty much completely healed. The upside to that is that them being on a bubble doesn't necessarily mean much outside of that they can't attack. But as we were doing all of that, we were racking up those points. As you see there on the top left, Club Grand Haven, we almost got 9,000 points, and because they were on a bubble for so long, they're only at less than 6,000. So you gotta be aware of that fact. If you get them in a bubble, that pretty much stops them from getting scores, getting any damage done. So that's really important. Check this disaster out. First of all, I want to know, where are they coming from? Like, where are they coming from? And also, if this was my city, I'd be pretty pissed, because I mean, I want my buildings back. I do know that once the buildings are destroyed, it's super easy to get them repaired and whatnot. So that's always a-okay. That's not an issue. But there you go. That's the final score: 9,500 to 7,350. Essentially, the difference was that we were able to focus a few of them first, get them under a bubble, and pretty much make them useless for about half the time, and it stops them from getting scores. If we continue the onslaught at that point, well, we're looking good. Now, the rewards that you got now, of course, the personal loot, like I was saying. And this one, I don't believe I did that great, but I mean, it's still good. You get the golden keys, and you get some disaster cards. Works out for me. So there it goes. There goes the scores. I'm all the way in the bottom, but I was a supporting role. Okay, there's then an attacker, which was DT, and then that was me. I was just support. Get off my back. Now, I want you to check this out right here. Okay, I think the plan here was to just at the very beginning just attack somebody, everybody just unload on the top person. So I went ahead and unloaded that. There we go. So Zion right off the bat already lost that. I only have 3 energy. And there we go. We got another person attacking, and it looks like they were using the same strategy. They were going straight for us, but they split the damage. Look at Shantopia up there. All your blocks. If they would have used that card on all your blocks, they probably put him under a shield. But because somebody focused on somebody else, they didn't put him under a shield, and that's where communication and strategy is really gonna come in. Like I mentioned, because we were right next to each other and this was more of a burst thing, there was less communication and more just of, okay, just attack this guy. But once you start in this attack phase, it's 36 hours, you should be good to go. Now the plan here is pretty much just get power bang down. They got all your blocks on the shield, so right now this is like neck and neck. They're up by only 10 points, and that's something that you have to keep in mind with these cards. The more you upgrade them, the more points that they would give you. They don't necessarily go up in damage, but the points that they provide will also be good. And you also have to be careful because some cards, for instance, some cards do 3 damage and they take 3 energy, but some cards might do 3 damage and they take 4 energy, but they might give you more points. So you have to balance it out. Like, what exactly are you trying to get? Are you trying to just get somebody under a shield? And in that case, maybe the 3 for 3 might be a little bit smarter. Or if you just need that little bit of extra points at the end, then maybe the other one will be a little smarter. So you gotta balance it out depending on what the club needs. You gotta keep that in mind. Now, there is, as far as the disasters, there's a ton that I saw that we actually didn't get to play with, and from my understanding is that they will be coming out with some more, so I can't wait to see more of that. In all honesty, I feel like once this gets started, once this all gets rolling, I'm just trying to get to level 18, because at level 18 is when you can start getting into it, and I'm literally like a few levels away. I don't know, maybe I'll start my own club, we'll start getting this up. But as you can tell right here, we're still losing, but we got all your blocks out of the shield, out of the little bubble, whatever you want to call that. And now he can start using his energy. There he goes. And I wanna take a look at this flying Vu robot, because these there was one where there was like a demon coming out of the water. There's just some crazy disasters, and I don't think we saw half of them, so it'll be funny to watch all of them go. And what is he floating on? Is that like a little floaty? That's what it looks like. What the heck? Oh man, it's just funny to watch all of these disasters. Now, one thing I would like is for us to be able to change the screen, the view. That's something that we weren't able to do. What you saw was what you got. So I really would prefer if we can actually move around. There were some points where you wanted to see something and it was blocked by a building. So if we could do that, that'll be great. But all in all, this is a feature that I would absolutely get into, because it gets my competitive juices flowing. But yeah, appreciate you guys for watching, and once again, appreciate all the people at EA for inviting me over and checking this out. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and until later. Bye.